Good morning, this is Vicki.
And this is Jo.
And we're the two natural ladies.
And we talk about the good news we all need and ways of getting the most out of life.
We help people with practical, uplifting ways we can all make a difference.
And we're striving for better, not perfect.
And we love a good laugh. Please enjoy the show. Thank you for joining us today. So we thought, talking about and beyond, we thought we'd start by talking. We've mentioned a woman called Lynne McTaggat. She's a journalist and she's done a lot of work on a lot of research into quantum physics, the power of intention, and I now get her information comes to me. So I thought I'd just read this out and we can see what we want to discuss about it. In the field of quantum physics, the most recent research has shown that the universe is the result of a dynamic process in which the basic elements that constitute everything we see and touch are in a constant state of exchange. This means that rather than our bodies and everything around us being a combination of self-contained atoms and molecules, it all exists in a kind of cosmic soup that is perpetually being stirred. I wonder who's stirring it. In other words, it provides further evidence that quite literally everything is at its essence only one thing, a single organism of interconnected energy fields in a constant state of becoming. This proves that contrary to the assumptions of Sir Isaac Newton and Charles Darwin, we are not in competition with each other for survival, but have instead been dependent upon collaboration and connection to evolve as far as we have. It is unequivocally the path forward for our species. These discoveries, along with other discoveries in biology and the social sciences, have underscored the reality that each of us is considerably more powerful and important than may be at all obvious to most of us. The key to changing that perception lies in shifting our focus and our awareness to the proof that is all around us, of just how tied together we truly are with everything else, and then beginning to develop the untapped powers we hold within us to more actively stimulate our personal and collective evolution. Isn't that wonderful?
That's amazing. Can you imagine what we'd be capable of if we actually lived like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It is so different from what we have been told and how we have lived to this point for a lot of us. I'm sure there are some people that we do live like we are separate from. And yeah, it will take something, a paradigm shift, to get us to actually live like we're all interconnected.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. And we do see it on small levels. And in fact, Lynne McTaggat has she's written a number of books, one which is about quantum physics called The Field, which is written for lay people, which my son's reading at the moment, and then another one which I've got too, which is called The Power of Eight, where she talks about how 8 people can actually heal through their intentions. So there is proof in places that this works.
Oh, definitely. Yes. So, and quite coincidentally, a friend who I went for a walk with on Sunday recommended a documentary on Prime. And so my husband and I watched it last night. It's called Superhuman, the Invisible Made Visible. And it was all about that stuff. And one of the things that stood out in my mind is she was with a scientist, I suppose, or a biophysicist or whatever he was, and they were measuring the pH of water, and he was talking about different things that would change the pH, and he changed it a little bit with something. I was half asleep, sorry. You'll have to watch it.
I will.
But what impressed me was then he got her to just literally intend to change the pH of the water, and she made the biggest difference to the pH of the water.
Well, I've just got to let you know that Jeanette, Jeanette Peterson, she's actually the person that told us about Lynne McTaggat.
Yes.
So it's not quite coincidental.
No. Well, except...
But coincidental with that, that movie or documentary.
Well, yeah. And that I was walking with her on Sunday and we're talking about it now. But she... she didn't even make this documentary. just popped up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was amazing. But we've still got some to watch because we were both falling asleep.
Yes. Well, when you were telling me that, I was already in bed.
Yes.
Half asleep too.
Yeah.
But also the collaboration connection to evolve as far as we have. And it is, like that when she talks about that collaboration and connection, and you can see, again, when we talk about communities and we talk about the blue zones in the world, and the people that live the longest are those people that are collaborating and connecting in those ways, much more so than the rest of us. So
yeah, and I mean, maybe, I'm sure there are some people conscious of this, aware of this connection, but a lot of us still stumble into, oh wow, that feels great when I volunteer or when I connect with someone, and it's like a surprise to us. Whereas this is it's not the exception, it's the rule. That and if we were aware, how much more we'd be capable of.
Well, I think the other thing, though, is that we struggle with our internal conversations in the environment we live in. I think, again, if you were living in an environment like one of these communities where you are constantly called out. Look, a great example is my husband's mum, when she was living at home here in Australia, she wouldn't go out ever. Then she went over to Lebanon, which is where she comes from, to the little village. She was constantly out, or at least people were coming to visit her. She was in communication and relationship with a whole lot of people all the time and was connecting with a lot of people. She was so happy. And that's a perfect example. We live in these like little boxes and get isolated and listen to the silly conversation in our head and forget. We forget.
Well, yeah. When I say we, I'm talking like our culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so if our culture was supportive of
yes. Yes.
And also depression. Like, depression would not be anywhere near as prevalent. Which is what you were talking about with your mother-in-law.
Yes.
Is that your mother-in-law?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's time for a paradigm shift.
It is. And I guess what we've got to do is just keep pointing the way and finding these amazing people and sharing it, and hopefully we'll just keep sparking people's interest and
making it the norm.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So there we go.
And another topic that we would love to make the norm. It's an interesting. I get some interesting feedback when I talk about this. So Dr. Alan Goldhamer, who came up in our interview last week with Elizabeth French. So I discovered him a few years ago, a couple of videos that a friend had posted, and he talks about water fasting to heal. And he's got a clinic. He's in America, but he actually did his study in Australia.
Yes, yes, from a guy called Alan something. Yes. I think I might have written it down. I can't remember, but yes.
So it's interesting though. Alan Goldhamer has a clinic in America. I'm not aware of anything in Australia.
Well, there is.
A clinic, an actual clinic. Okay.
Yes, which is, I think, around the same time that you were discovering Dr. Hammer, I was discovering Dr. John Fielder, who's in Cairns, and they have a clinic which is called. It's a farm. It's CLOHESY River Health Farm.
Okay.
And it's out of Cairns.
Right.
And I was looking for that because my son was talking about natural hygiene, and he said, "Could you find me a book on it?" So I actually spoke to John Field, and I wonder if Dr. Hammer and Dr. Field know each other.
Most likely. Well, and Dr. Goldhamer actually studied under someone that I think's still around.
Yes.
So it's actually in his bio. Anyway, so he talks about fasting and intermittent fasting, and I want to have him on the show.
Well, it's really interesting because I dumped some notes that I got, and what he talks about is he said that decide to go vegan and plant-based, and which is posts mean plant-based, but he says that a lot of people who go vegan don't really go vegan healthily.
No.
So,
no.
you know, you can go vegan and eat fried chips.
Yes.
Or yeah. So he said even though people are going vegan, it's not necessarily the way to go. And he talks about all the issues, you know, overweight, suffering from degenerative diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure. In fact, I actually went out the other day with some friends, and out of 5 of us, there were only 2 of us that weren't on medication for high blood pressure, etc. Because I still see myself as young, so I was like, how could people be on stuff like that? So yeah,
well, I think it's quite the norm these days to be on something. Yeah, which obviously neither you or I are.
No. I take some magnesium at night every second night to hopefully sleep better, but that's and I have some greens and mushrooms.
Yeah, I was taking greens every day. Actually, I've reduced that now just to see if I don't want my body to be dependent on anything.
No, well, that's that.
Yep.
I've been the same. I've actually cut back on it, but I thought, okay, particularly as winter's coming on.
Yes.
Last year I was taking it pretty religiously. I think with COVID, it was really
just building it up. Yeah. I think it's a good time of year to build up the immune system. Yeah. So so the clinic in America,
True North Health Centre.
Yes, they do supervise water fasting, but they also have chefs on site, and they serve up healthy meals and teach people how to eat healthier. And so it's not just about fasting; it's about the whole thing.
Well, it's an education. He's talking here about, understanding food processing. Processing is anything you do to the food to alter its natural state. You can cut it into small pieces to make it easier to eat. You can cook it, which softens it and makes the nutrients more available. You can grind it up to avoid having to chew, as in blended salads. There are fairly minimal forms of processing and thus do not change the nature of the food too much. But humans have learned to do a lot more than simple processing. We can squeeze the juice from the fruit and get rid of all the fibre, leaving a very sweet concentrated liquid. We can remove the fibrous coating from grain and grind it up very finely to make flour, and then turn that into bread, a highly concentrated food. We can extract the fat or oil from foods and bottle it to be sold separately or add it to other foods. We can extract the sugar from cane or beets or corn and then use the concentrated sugar to concoct foods that do not exist in nature.
So I think I can see there's the pleasure trap here. I think he's written a book about it, the pleasure trap. So
yeah, very interesting. But yes, I think that I love the way we are so synergistic at times, you and I, because I do want to get back in touch with Dr. John Fielding. He is a lot older than Dr. Hammer, so
I think that he's put a study done to him.
He may have,
yes.
But
I see a road trip happening, or a plane trip.
I would love to go and visit Dr. John Fielding. It's much harder to find information about him than it is Dr. Hammer. So I could find videos to watch about him, like YouTube stuff, but not actual information. But he says guests are welcome to attend the weekly classes of the Academy of Natural Living's lifestyle consultants, and John Fielder will supervise your stay at the farm. He is a certified teacher of biogenic living and life science and a lecturer in the history, philosophy and practice of natural cure, fasting, natural hygiene and biogenic living.
And it does say or something there about fasting can be undertaken, but it's not mandatory and is sometimes contraindicated.
Yes. So you have to know who what you're doing, and that's why you go to someone like Dr. Hammer or Dr. Fielding.
You've been listening to the Two Natural Ladies podcast. Visit twonaturalladies.com.au for more information. Thanks for joining us.